What's poppin', y'all? Cenat finally came out of, well, after he dropped that longer video, which we covered a couple of videos ago, and people were wondering what's going on with him. What does he mean by creating? And he answers a couple of different questions that we had here. He still doesn't say what he's actually focused on creating, but he talks about what he has been able to reflect on, and oddly enough, it's anime of all things. And I'm going to read you guys his tweets and we're going to go over it. He said, I was honestly going to save what I got to say for when I'm ready to come back, but right now something is telling me to speak up. I'm not sad. I'm not depressed. I told you guys, he never explicitly said he was depressed. People just threw that on him. But I need to bring awareness to mental health after some of the feedback I've been seeing. I know I'll get clowned more for this. A few days ago, I decided to open up a little bit about what I've been thinking, and it's been so much love. But when I seen some of the negative feedback I received, I got to see a glimpse of why people don't speak up about this more often. And I think by people, he doesn't mean regular people. He's specifically talking about people in his position or in a similar position to where the majority of people are envious of the financial success that they have or the life that they get to live, which doesn't require that much money in the grand scheme of things. And, you know, like, let's say $1 million a year, right? Like, that's the majority of us would be like, yo, that would be crazy to make that much. And whilst Kai makes significantly more than that, he probably makes that on a average, or he's probably made that in the months that he's been gone. But that person has more to relate to a Kai Cenat because they have the basic needs covered. I just felt like I would be able to talk to you guys on a more personal level about dealing with self-doubt and living in fear. I think a person like me speaking about this would encourage other people to step up too. So now let me explain how it all started. As I was very consistent in streaming, there were certain times I realized that I was losing touch of reality. I needed to take a step back and fully reset. I started to realize I wasn't even spending time with close friends and family behind the scenes as much as I wanted to. I can't imagine the things that people are going through on a deeper level, so for those people, let me speak up a little louder. I don't care if people look at me as a joke. And this in particular, I get. Because you guys got to think about it. Like, for example, Kai Cenat, he's putting on an act or a performance, whatever you want to call it, when he's on stream. And you could say that, okay, this is akin to when people used to do TV shows, like, right? Like Steve from Blue's Clues. Like, he would show up on set, you would record Blue's Clues, and then he would go about his life. But that's the thing. He would go about his life. And all he had to do was film and act it out. The difference is with streaming, there is an element of your true nature and personality involved in it. And there is the real-time feedback that you're getting, the real-time entertainment, the back and forth that you're having with the chat, and then all of the stuff that goes into it after. So a lot of people think like, yo, this person just hops on stream and then they just make a bunch of money. Yeah, that may work at the top, but a lot of these streamers, once they're off stream, the only thing that they're thinking of is how did that stream go? What is the next stream? And if their community was actually disappointed with it, they feel upset. It's not like they're like, oh yeah, I just ran off a check on those dudes. Nah, they're like, damn, like, why did I mess up? Why didn't they like that? I put so much effort into that. And they're planning the next idea. So it's this 24-hour rolling clock, or 24 hours, there's sleep involved. But it's this rolling clock whenever the person is awake, thinking about what their next stream is going to be, future stream ideas, stuff to do on other social media. So it becomes all consuming. And there's no such thing as weekends because like the person doesn't get off for the weekend. Sure, they can take a day off, but then they may feel guilty. Like, yo, someone's telling me like, yo, they can't wait to watch my stream today and I'm not going to be live. This is actually how streamers think. You'd be surprised. You think like, yo, they just pull up. You got to think they're able to build strong bonds, parasocial bonds with their audience. The reason why they're able to build that, especially when they were smaller, is because of the way that they think and they care about what these people think about them in turn. But this took the craziest turn after this because Kai Cenat goes and diverges to say this. Anime has always been something I wanted to get myself into, but I never had the time to try and actually watch. But when I did, without me realizing, anime was able to take me into another world that I can relate to. It felt weird because in a way it was speaking directly to me. Man, if I haven't seen some main character energy before, which you do need some main character energy to be an entertainer like Kai Cenat is and make it that far. But I'm like, yeah, isn't it supposed to be written to resonate with damn near everybody? I mean, listen, I'm no anime expert. However, I do have some expertise in what he's about to talk about. I know Death Note is a weird anime to mention it bringing happiness. Like, quick summary of like the whole Death Note thing. It's this guy gets a book. If he writes a name in it and he writes how, that person dies. That's what it is. And then they're trying to figure out like, yo, why are a bunch of people dying? But it was the first anime I began watching and fully had my mind off things and truly entertaining. From plots between Light and L, now I can't tell you much about these characters, to the soundtracks, to overall a good show. And he says, rest in peace, Squid Kid, which I think was like some cosplayer, at least from what I saw in the replies. And then he goes on and says, I used to think anime was weird and think it was just a cartoon, but it has how. Also, hold on. Why are cartoons weird? Now, I will tell you why I think anime. I don't think anime in itself is weird. I think it attracts a lot of weirdos. Now, it's like, yo, is anime full of weirdos? No, but all weirdos are into anime type of situation, right? It's almost like, yo, is weed a gateway drug? No, but everyone that's gone to heroin has started off with weed. You get what I'm saying there? Now, Kai's a couple of years younger than me, but he also grew up in the Bronx. So I think when he was growing up, I don't know if it became like, yo, anime is this cool thing that everybody's into. Kind of like how super mainstream it is right now. So he was probably like seeing a couple of kids get bullied for that. He's like, yo, I'm not trying to do all that. And he says, I used to think anime was weird and think it was just a cartoon, but it's helped me build way more courage than I ever had before, and I'm only on the second season. Now, I don't know about... I didn't think this was a season thing. I thought it was split into, like, the first show and then the second show. Naruto is a prime example of someone who truly believes in chasing your dreams, following your heart, and never giving up. This is hands down my personal favorite right now. This show teaches you so much lessons on how important friendship is, helping others, consistency, and being a morally good person. This scene really got me. Low-key, everyone in Naruto is going through something behind closed doors, but is trying to hide it in some way. So, I haven't really watched animes, but like on YouTube, OG YouTube, I actually did watch this show in particular. I remember I watched all that filler BS because back then it was just, okay, you had episode 1 and then you had part 1, part 2, part 3 because you could only upload 10-minute videos on YouTube at the time. So the people that uploaded this show, they would just upload it in parts. And that's all I sat and watched for like a couple of months, I think. When I was so young, I can barely even remember it. But yeah, so I actually did watch this show in particular, but I was a kid and yeah, it resonated with me as a kid. But to see this, grown adult that's successful talk about it, he started to get grilled. So one person quote tweeted this and it got 20K likes. He says, worst tweet ever. So this is the thing with this. I think the way that Kai Cenat wrote it is just like, dog, you're a grown... Well, how old is Kai? 22, 23, 24? He can't be older than 24. But the way that he's writing about it is kind of like a 13-year-old writing an essay to their middle school teacher. And I don't even know if this would be a middle school essay writing about the characters on here. It probably closer to like 6th grade. It depends. If you guys went to some dumb schools, it would probably be 8th grade. But yeah, like I see 5th graders writing about something like this. To me, I just find I'm happy that Kai Cenat gets to enjoy something. Like you could tell the way that he writes about it. He writes about it with this jovial, childlike energy. And I think that's more important than what he's actually saying. Now, the problem with him talking about this anime stuff is that it brings in all of the weird, like there's, in every sub-niche, there's people that are super hyper into it and they hate the mainstream stuff. So they're going to hate Kai Cenat. So if they hate mainstream animes, they're going to hate the mainstream streamer. So they start grilling him about this. And my question is, yeah, I'm glad that he gets to enjoy and sit back and watch a show, mind you, because he's been reading he's been reading some books, he's been reading shows. Like, this guy is living a regular life now for the past couple of months that most people do in their free time. So when you're thinking about, like, yo, on the weekend, this is what I'm going to do, Kai Cenat was probably not doing that for the past couple of years. Now, could he have? Yes, sure, he could have. But now he's finally doing it in this large spurt. And it's probably, I don't know if he's watching this with his girlfriend, but he seems to have been spending a lot of time with her. So I can imagine. But I find it funny that Sneako also responded to this and said the following: Kai Cenat is right about mental health, and the response to him is why nobody does anything unironically anymore. And I'm looking at this like, and some people justifiably replied to him and said, aren't you the guy that said mental health isn't real? Like, do some push-ups or something. And then he would say, two things can simultaneously be true. Mental health is overdiagnosed and weaponized as self-pity to justify laziness. But at the same time, I don't think that's why it's justified. I don't think it's laziness. There's a lot of different things. But at the same time, we have all caught a mental fever from over-socialization. We can treat people terribly and drift right back into normalcy with a self-aware joke about it. Oh, you ghosted a friend and said your phone died? You're such a Gemini. We judge and criticize others more intimately and brutally than ever before, down to the most specifically hurtful details that men in previous generations would duel to the death over. But the same critics can hide behind irony. They disguise their weaponized insecurity as a satirical personality. They never live outside of what's comfortable to prevent the same attacks they use on people who do try. Hardly anyone really exists authentically anymore. We have summoned a haunting gray cloud of judgment looming over every social interaction. This is what's responsible for the self-doubt and fear of judgment Kai is speaking on. Be yourself. I'm not going to lie, I don't really understand most of what he was trying to get at there in regards to Kai Cenat. But, Kai Cenat can just say he likes anime. That's it. It's like, a lot of people like anime. But my whole question is, what is Kai Cenat talking about creating? Because I was scared. Like, when I started reading this, I was like, oh, God, please don't tell me Kai Cenat's about to create some sort of an anime. Like, that would not be... I would be ready to hate on that. I'm not hating on Kai Cenat now, but I would probably be ready to hate on that, even being somebody that doesn't even watch anime. Like I said, like, the only anime I've watched is that, what do you call it? No, I've watched two in my lifetime, but one of those is Naruto. I didn't even finish that thing. Like, whatever episode ended in like 2007, that's whatever I was at. I actually read it too. So whatever chapter it was at in 2007, that's where I've been stuck at. So here, I think Kai Cenat just wanted to share this. And I do feel like Kai Cenat blew up so quickly in streaming that I think he misses the short span of time where he had a small, tight-knit community that he knows liked him, and he was able to share with them and talk to them, and then they would respond back, and it was kind of like this homely, cozy feel that that the majority of streamers had before streaming became like so much bigger, and clips and people just putting their own opinions on you based off of clips. And when you're the biggest streamer, you can't really get that feeling back, which I do think he's trying with that Instagram of his. And he just wants to post. But I think that's also another thing, like I said previously, where it's like, Kai Cenat Kendrick Lamar would create music with Baby Keem as a way to, kind of have that artistic release without it being labeled under Kendrick Lamar and the expectations that come with that. You can't really do that as a Kai Cenat, because how the hell are you going to build up a whole new audience? You're going to be talking to nobody. And I do think he still wants to connect with that audience. But I am interested to see Kai Cenat do stuff in like the anime realm. Like, is he going to link up with cosplayers? Is he going to start having like this new dimension to his stream where he starts bringing those people on? I think that would be great. Like, if you're a fan of anime and then he starts bringing on voice actors and he starts exploring that whole world, like, shouldn't you like that? And if not, let me know why. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.